we've been your job search besties and helped you in some way, there's a cool way you can support the show. Shout us a virtual coffee.
We get a huge kick out of reading all of your success stories. Head to buymeacoffee.com/interviewboss and shout us a cuppa.
If you keep us caffeinated, we can keep the content coming. It's just the stupidest question ever because it doesn't really tell you a whole lot. There are no thoughts gone into it. It's just a filler, yet it's the one that people spiral about the most. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Interview Boss. My name is Emma. I'm a radio journalist who's teamed up with my sister to give you advice, inspiration, and support when you're looking for a new job. Sarah is a HR and recruitment professional, and together we're excited to give you all the tips, tricks, and behind-the-scenes knowledge to help you in your career.
Hey, Em, and welcome back, our incredible listeners. You know what time it is. It's time for the Shoot Your Shot shout out. This is for you guys, our incredible listeners. This is your segment where we give you a shout out because you've gone out there, you've shot your shot, you've used some tips, tricks, and you've come back to tell us all about it. This week, it is Lauren who gets our Shoot Your Shot shout out. She bought us 5 coffees. Thank you, Lauren. She's supporting us creating this show.
Yeah, she said, "Hey, Sarah and Em, I just wanted to say a massive thank you for your podcast. It's been a total game changer for me. Before going on parental leave, I got a new boss I really struggled with and decided not to go back after 9 years with the same company. I'd had plenty of promotions, but never actually interviewed for them. So I hadn't interviewed in almost a decade and never for senior roles. I was totally intimidated by the idea of interviewing again. During my parental leave, my sister told me about your podcast, and wow, it was exactly what I needed. With a baby at home, I didn't have much time to write, but I had heaps of time to listen. So I binged your episodes and found them so helpful. From the big stuff like best bits, career story, and your ChatGPT prompt that stopped me sounding like a total weirdo, to the more specific advice like answering diversity questions or why am I receiving emails at 2 a.m, all of it was gold. At first, I met with recruiters when I'd only prepared a few rough best bits and I had no career story and instantly regretted it as I knew that I wasn't coming across well. So I put in the work, built out a solid career story and 15 strong best bits, and the difference was night and day. I felt so confident and ended up nailing my interviews. Your podcast genuinely made all the difference. Thanks for the practical, down-to-earth advice. You helped me get back out there and land a great role after parental leave. When I started job hunting, I was at a bit of a crossroads. I could have gone for my first exec level role, but with a young family, the timing didn't quite feel right. You helped me feel okay with that too. I might go for one next time I job hunt though. So selfishly, as an episode suggestion, could you do an episode on what to expect from exec level interviews and how prep might differ, if at all?
Oh, I love that suggestion. What a great one. Lauren, that is incredible. I have a real soft spot for parents coming back from parental leave and back into the workforce kind of thing, even if it's only been after a short gap. I think there's something about that transition that is extra tough, and trying to maybe work that into your story or explain where you've been. But the awesome takeaway from Lauren is having all of your prep before you even start the process of applying for jobs and things. I think that is really, really game changing, because I think all the work you do on your career story and your best bits, well, that's going to help you update your resume. That's going to help you have that phone call. It's going to help you work out maybe which roles you can I can totally nail that question because you've already done that work. So I think that is awesome.
I love imagining that she's at home in the newborn trenches. She's got no time, but the fact that we're a podcast means she can just pop us in her headphones, keep being a mum, and just absorb it all via osmosis. And I love that. We can multitask.
Nappy changes, feedings, maybe someone's listening to this right now doing one of those things.
Or another thought, so many people tell us that they get promoted heaps in their current workplaces, but they've never had to interview for it. And now I'm starting to think, Can we make them interview? It's a disservice. So many people are getting out and being like, great, I've never done an interview even though I've been at this company for 45 years. Like, come on, we need to be doing interviews.
I'm sure I've mentioned that before on one of our episodes about internal interviews, because I get why people go, oh, why are you making me interview for it? But I genuinely do believe that even if you already know like who you want to go forward and you don't even open it up fully externally or whatever, just to have a bit of a process to practice that skill that people don't have to use very often, I think is really important. Keep those interview skills fresh.
Yes. If you want some results like Lauren, you want to land an epic new gig, but you need a little bit more help, the podcast isn't cutting it. You can check out Sarah's one-on-one interview coaching sessions. She has plenty of availability and can help you get really stuck into specific areas of your prep that you need help with. But if you need like broad-ranging help and don't know where to start, you feel overwhelmed, Interview Academy is probably the right choice. It breaks it step by step down. You can prep, cram it in a weekend, stretch it out over 3 weeks, whatever suits you.
Yep. And I think if you're trying to be like Lauren and have the awesome career story and the best bits ready to go, it's the quickest way for you to get all of those done without wasting time on stuff that's not helping.
Head to interviewboss.com.au/coaching.
Now, if you like Lauren, have a request for an episode that might help you in the future or might have helped past you that you wish we did, send us a message. Let us know about it. Follow us on Instagram and slide into our DMs. Find me on LinkedIn. Send us a message on our website, whatever it is, and maybe you will be the inspiration for our next interview topic.
This week, we're talking about the dreaded question, what's your biggest weakness?
I was kind of gobsmacked that we don't have an episode for this already. It's one of those ones where I'm like, I'm sure we've talked about it.
We definitely have, but not in depth.
I was like, well, we need a dedicated episode. We get asked about this so often. It's a topic that comes up in like maybe half of all of my interview coaching sessions. People are like, I'm really worried about the weakness question. So I figure we need an episode. It's got to be done.
Can we just rag on the question for a bit first? So basically, our whole framework, as you know, is that we have the best bits formula, which is the best way to prepare for an interview, which means we don't endorse looking up, Googling the most top 10 common interview questions and then trying to formulate perfect scripted answers to each of those, because what happens? You go into an interview, they ask none of it, you go blank, and it's a train wreck. So our best bits formula is based on the concept that you prepare your best stories, your achievements, and you have them ready to adapt no matter what question they ask you. We're going to do the politician move and link it back to one of our best bits so that we're prepared no matter what. So when people are preparing the wrong way, this question, what's your biggest weakness, is always what pops up in the most common interview questions, strengths and weaknesses. But strengths is easier to answer. The weaknesses part is what freaks people out. So it's just the stupidest question ever because it doesn't really tell you a whole lot. There are no thoughts gone into it. It's just a filler, yet it's the one that people spiral about the most.
And I don't mind it, and I have asked it before of people in interviews. I just think it's not a great interview question, and also the level at which people are concerned about it and the amount that it would influence the outcome of an interview are completely out of proportion. So people are so worried about it and they might spend ages preparing for this question, but they haven't spent time coming up with the stuff that they've achieved, the stuff that they do as part of their work, the examples and stories about what's good about what they've delivered. And that's what an interviewer is going to hire you for, the stuff that you've done, not some random add-on like weakness question.
I just got reminded about the time that my friend got asked in an interview, if you were part of a cheeseburger, what part would you be? Like,
I was just re-looking over our curly interview questions episode. And if you want to know about the cheeseburger question and some other curly questions, go and check out that episode. And it kind of is like that, but there is a little bit more substance to this one. Unlike the cheeseburger question, which is just like, what are you asking that for? We talk about in that episode how I think people are kind of entertaining themselves, like interviewers are just a bit bored and they just want to do something fun. So I think this one is a little bit deeper than that. I'll give them a little bit more credit, but it is popping up on every single common interview questions list. And so that's why we're here talking about it.
Yeah, so important to distinguish what the gist of this question is. It's definitely not a gotcha, like they're trying to find out the scoop and then they're like, right, that's exactly what our worst fear was. Get out of the building. That's like not what's happening.
Or like, we're going to make you tell us why we're not going to hire you, like in a weird kind of like a trick question of like, tell me the thing that's going to make you lose this job. And then you say it and they're like, ha, that's why we're not hiring you, because you have a weakness. I feel like that's what people think is happening here. It's not a trick. It's never a trick. You know, here at Interview Boss, we don't really believe that a lot of what people think are a trick in the interview process is actually a trick. But what is it about?
The crux of it is it's about self-awareness and showing some self-reflection, not thinking that we're perfect, being able to identify the flaws maybe in our working style, what could do with some improvement or some watering.
Yeah, some watering, like you're growing something.
Yeah, like our grass is a bit dead in that patch. We just need to water it a bit.
It's not completely dead. It's just a bit yellow. Like it's just,
it's not looking good for summer. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to think about it in terms of what they are looking to get from our answer. What are they trying to learn about us from our answer? For me, it's self-awareness. And the managers and the people that actually use this question that I've asked have said this straight away. It's self-awareness. Can this person reflect? Are they aware of what they're good at and what they're not? Can they show a little bit of vulnerability and humility? If you're the kind of person that is like, well, I don't think I have any weaknesses, or I don't think I have any areas for improvement, there might be certain spots where that's a great characteristic, but there might also be certain jobs where that's not going to work, certain cultures where that's not going to work. And they might want to understand that about you. That's very kind of telling of how does someone approach telling someone, here's this thing that I'm still working on. I'm not perfect. Can you think about the ways that that maybe translates to in the workplace? Do you want to have someone in your team who goes, hey, I'm not sure exactly how to go about that. Can I just ask some more questions? Or are they going to go, yep, got it, no worries, and run away and panic later? It's the same type of thing.
They are the worst kinds of people. It's so refreshing and nice for the person that you end up going to when you're like, hey, I struggle a bit with this. I'm getting confused. I know that you're epic at this. Can you run your eyes over it? That person gets a little kick out of it too.
Yes, exactly. And that is a culture that some companies or some teams might really, really care about is, I don't want you to pretend like you have all the answers. I want you to be able to talk about the things that you're not, completely across, or the times when you have questions. So I think there's humility and vulnerability in it. And also like integrity somewhat. Are you going to tell me the truth? Because are you going to cover it up and hide the thing that is actually a weakness? Or are you going to give me something that is actually true here? And it can also touch on having a growth mindset as well. Because if you don't think you have any areas to improve, you're not going to be the kind of person that's actively working on improving them, are you? Whereas if you're aware of, hey, this is the thing that I really want to focus on because I can get better at these things, then that's someone who is coachable, teachable, has the opportunity to improve, to grow in the role, to potentially do more things later. Again, that can be really important for a role.
And they're going to take your answer in the context of the rest of your interview. So, like if you've said, give me an example of a weakness that someone might say.
I just want people to think about like this answer that you're giving doesn't stand alone. Like they're just taking in what you've said there. They're kind of understanding the context of like, who is this person? What have I understood about what you do and what you're good at? And does this fit with what I've learned about you so far?
But give me an example of a weakness.
Well, it would be really weird if I went in and had all these examples about innovation and where I'd fixed something and tried something and tested new tools and stuff. And then I said my weakness was that I was really perfectionistic and like had to have every detail perfect. They'd be like, that's a bit incongruous with what we've just learnt about you. Like, how does that kind of fit in? Do you see how that would feel a little bit like, oh, I feel like that's not quite true. Like you haven't had that align with what you've been sharing about yourself.
Or on the flip side, if you maybe said like, oh, sometimes proofreading my work, I've been known to have like a few typos or something. Say if you said that, it doesn't mean that is immediately a red flag and they're like, right, well, I don't care that the rest of your interview was amazing. That's unforgivable. Like it goes in that way too, that if your interview was really great, your weakness isn't going to be the thing that they're like, right, discount everything you just said. You've undone yourself.
Exactly right. There was a time where I asked this question, and this is why I was like, I'm sure we've talked about this before because I think I've given this example before. I asked this question and it wasn't part of my plan. I didn't have it written down or prepared, but it was because as I was interviewing this person, they kind of gave me the vibe that they were a bit of a been there, done that, I know everything kind of person, which wasn't necessarily like an absolute deal breaker, but I kind of wanted to suss out like, does this person actually think that they have nothing to develop? Like what's their ego attached to some of these things? Or are they just really good at it and quite confident? So I asked this question at the end, tell me about areas you have for development or, you know, weaknesses, things you can improve on. They said, no, I don't think I have any. Confidently. It wasn't like, I can't think of anything or, oh, I do, but I can't think of anything. It was like, no, I don't have any. That was their answer. And so that told me a lot about, okay, I was kind of right there with my judgment on how this person is going to approach things. And like for various reasons, this was a particularly niche skill set that they had or whatever. It didn't end up changing the hiring decision, unfortunately. But it did change the way that person, like we prepared for that person in their role. Because we then put a few guardrails about here's what they can do and here's what they can't do because they're going to maybe just do whatever they want on their own and go off and break things. They needed guardrails on, cool, this is your area. You don't get involved in these things. And that just helped us set that role up. So I think that gives context to how this question will fit into the rest of your interview. So I don't want you to be so scared about it's just what you say for this question.
You're ratting yourself out.
Yeah, that's right.
I've been asked this in an interview once when I was not expecting it and I hadn't given any thought to it. And I started panicking because as soon as they asked, I was like on the spot and I was like, oh, there definitely is weak. I've got them. Don't worry. Like I felt so bad that it looked like I thought I was perfect because I couldn't think. And so I think I definitely ended up saying something cliche, but I don't actually have a workshopped, thought out weakness. So maybe we can do a live workshop. Maybe you can tell me some of my weaknesses.
By the end of this episode, we're going to have workshopped your weakness. And I guess when we get to, you know, what should you do? That's one of my pieces of advice is that you need to have an idea of like, what is the topic? What is the weakness that you're going to be discussing? But before we get into that, I feel like we need to cover common advice. This is what happens when you Google this question. This is what happens when you look at a video or some other resources or ask AI, what to do with this question. You see people say you need to spin it into a positive. You need to say a weakness that is also a good thing.
I just get so involved and passionate about work that I lose myself or something.
Yep. I work too hard and I don't take breaks. Like just stuff, yeah. Spin it into a positive somehow. Like say the weakness, but then talk about how that's actually a good thing and it's not a weakness at all. Like this kind of fake vulnerability kind of thing. The other thing that commonly comes up is choose something that isn't a deal breaker or like a weakness that doesn't relate to the exact job that you're going for. It's like, oh, I'm not really very good at like composing marketing emails, but this role doesn't require you to do that. It just like, it feels like a bit of a cop-out because it's like, oh, I'm not good at this thing, but don't worry, this role doesn't need me to do that, so I'm going to be perfect.
How would you feel if in an interview you asked this question and the person said, oh, I have a tendency to run late a fair bit? Is that a red flag?
It depends. I mean, were they late for the interview and then they've said that and then I also get the sense that like they're just a little bit like too laid back maybe?
But I'm just fessing up like, hey, I'm going to be late to work from time to time.
I would say that that's just not that interesting. I would pick something that's a little bit deeper. Like, oh, I'm too early. It's like, okay, I might be late for a meeting. Okay, like tell me something about your work or about who you are as a person or explain the lateness or what's going on. Like give me a bit more detail. I just think that's not going far enough. But yeah, potentially could be a red flag, but only in context and if they didn't explain. So I want to share some cliches. These are warnings. I don't recommend that you use these answers because one of the things that I get asked the most about this question is this, insert whatever they've come up with, is it a good answer for this question? What do you think my answer to them is? Well, it depends. Is this thing true? Like, explain to me what's going on.
No one that's using these, they're not true. They found them on a TikTok video.
Hey, Interview Boss listeners, if the podcast just isn't doing it for you and you need way more help to prep for your next interview, we have the perfect thing for you. Interview Academy. Em, tell us all about it.
This is huge. This is the love child of Sarah after doing hundreds of one-on-one coaching sessions, finding out what people struggle with the most, common mistakes. Sarah has created the ultimate course that you can do in your own time, self-paced, heaps of modules, videos, interactive quizzes, a workbook that will become your Bible by the end that you can take with you into your interview, because if you're a long-time listener, you know that we endorse taking notes into your interview. It's a game changer.
Check out more about it at interviewboss.com.au/interview academy. So let's go through the cliches. I'm a perfectionist, so I check everything too much and I like to make sure every detail is right. And sometimes that can mean I move more slowly because I like everything to be correct. And it's like, oh, you're turning it into a positive because I'm so good at catching mistakes and catching details and like, oh, I'm a perfectionist and sometimes that can upset people because I find mistakes. Like, okay, I don't love that cliche answer. I work too hard. That's basically what you came up with, of like flip it into a positive cliche. I work too hard and sometimes that means that I don't take breaks and I don't prioritize my outside of work life, and because I just get so passionate. And again, it's like, it's not a real weakness that you're showing. Or the other one that I've kind of seen is like probably not as big as those first two. I do everything myself. I have trouble delegating. Again, I think this is a little bit of a flip it into a positive kind of thing.
Self-righteous.
It is. It's like, oh, I just do all the work and I, need to share the load a little bit more because I work so hard. It's like another version of I work too hard, basically. Now, I've also seen people say, oh, what about you say interviews is my weakness?
Well, if you get the job, you won't be doing any more interviews, so that's kind of irrelevant.
And it's like, again, it's one of those things that, oh, this job doesn't require me to do interviews, so don't worry, it's not relevant to the job. I just think, again, a bit of a cop-out answer. But the caveat there is you could make it a joke if you wanted to. I think it would work if it was a joke answer and then you did a real answer afterwards. You're like, well, my number one weakness is honestly job interviews. I'm terrified of job interviews. But once I'm at work, here's my other thing. Like, if you wanted to do that and that resonates with you, I think you could make a joke out of that answer.
I do enjoy jokes in the interview phase.
Me too.
Also, if you bring up something tiny, like really niche, like, oh, I'm too friendly and over the top in my emails, or like,
this software thing, I haven't learned how to make good graphs in Excel.
Like, I don't enjoy Excel a lot, but that's just, you're barely ever going to be doing that. It has to be like a solid skill that's part of your daily life. And it's not even saying one that's a gaping hole. Like, picture if you had to write a list of every skill that it takes to do your job, physical skill to do your job, and then you had to rank them, it's whatever's down the bottom. That doesn't mean that you're terrible at that. And if you were in an emergency, you couldn't get it done and do a good job. It just means out of everything, that's the thing that I'm not the greatest at. We're not admitting to I'm incompetent in this area. We're saying compared to my superpower, this isn't as good.
This is an area that doesn't come as easily to me. It's not a thing that I super rely on a lot. I'm working on it. I'm developing. I'm new to it, whatever that stuff is. Absolutely. What I hear the most when people bring this up in a coaching session and they say, oh, I just don't know what to do for my weakness question. I'm like, cool. Okay. Have you got any idea of what you would say? What if I asked you this question right now? Like, what would come up? Oh, well, whatever is my real weakness, but I can't say that, can I? I definitely can't say that. Sarah, I can't say that.
Why not?
And I say, well, why not? Why can't you say that? Oh, because, then they'll use that as a reason not to hire me. I'm like, right. Again, this is not a trick question. And my follow-up is, tell me about that thing. Why is it a weakness? How does it show up? Does it mean that you're completely incapable of doing your job? Will it prevent you from doing this job that you're interviewing for? Well, no. Great. Well, then it sounds like it's not a deal breaker then. So let's workshop how we can actually talk about it. So what you've been waiting for, here's what you should really do. Here's what you should actually say. We are coming up with a real weakness. It has to be something that you are actually sharing. Like it has to actually tell them something about you. It has to be true. It has to be real. Now, you can use the cliche examples that I gave above, but you have to make it a really good answer. If that is actually genuinely your weakness and you do really work too hard and that's like, hey, this is actually a problem for me, I want to share that with them, cool. But because it's a cliche, you're going to have to make sure that you really workshop that answer to go further than just the high level, oh, I work too hard, it's a problem because you get so much out of me kind of thing. You're going to have to back it up with details, regardless of what your weakness is, but particularly if you choose a cliche one. How does it show up? How does it affect you? Like, how does it affect other people? Like, what does it mean for your work? All those kinds of things you're going to have to explain. So I think this is sometimes a bit easier to understand when we've got an example in mind. So, Em, what's your weakness? We're brainstorming.
Yeah, I don't know. I have never given this any thought. I'm absolutely not perfect. But I don't know if this is too superficial or if it counts as genuine. But like, I'm not a maths girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
At all. My brain doesn't operate in that way. So like, if I'm writing data journalism, which is fairly often, like, so say you've got a really big data set and you've got to pull out the most interesting parts. I'm good at that, finding the newsworthy stuff. But then when you're trying to present it, when you're reading the news, it can't be number heavy. You can't say there's been a 76% increase in the number of 17 to 24-year-olds. That's up 24%. So you've got to find different ways to say the percentages so that it sounds good and easy on the ears. So you might swap, you've said 1% in the opening line, and then maybe you might change to be like, that's roughly 2/3 of the population, or you might be like, that's a jump of, 2/3, or you find a different way to say it.
Oh, you could say young people instead of 17 to 24. Like you could work out how you're going to swap those things to refer to them in a different way.
And that always gives me the shits because it doesn't come easy. I can do it, but it takes time. And also I also report on a lot of crime with like people getting pulled over for being under the influence of drugs, drink driving. And whenever they say they returned a breath analysis reading of 0.02567, well, again, same concept. To read that out, people are like, what does that mean? So I have to do the maths and go, he blew 4 times over the legal limit. And me and percentages and the calculator, and when I'm on a time crunch, I'm hating those stories. So yeah, maths within my role, hate it.
Yep. You were having to work harder to do those things. You can still do them, but it's not something that you're like, oh, this is easy. I've come up with this thing. It's 5 times, whatever. So that fits. I think if you get stuck with coming up with a weakness, it can help you to kind of think about, again, exactly what you said before, Em. This isn't something that you are incompetent at or incapable of doing. You're not trying to say that I can't work with numbers. That's not the point. Again, this is not a gotcha question. You're just talking about maybe something that you can do, but it takes more effort, or that something that you need to get checked by someone else, or maybe you still need to like look up the guidelines or ask someone else or research a little bit more before you kind of go into it. So they're things that you're just not as strong at or you don't find as easy. So let's keep brainstorming because I need to give people some more ideas. If you didn't want to do that one, what's something else that you could talk about? Maybe let's make it a bit more general to you rather than specific to the job that you currently do.
Can you point any out?
Okay, no, I'm going to make you come up with this because our listeners don't have someone to just point out their weaknesses.
Yes, they do. They've got family and friends.
Yeah, but call up your sister and be like, what's my weakness?
Ask them to out you.
Well, you don't listen. You never call me back. What is something that you would say, hey, this is my strength in the workplace, like as a colleague, this is the thing that I'm really good at. Or in my day-to-day, the way that I get stuff done, this is what I'm really good at. Maybe it's like I'm really good under pressure.
I'm really good at investigating. If I need to find something, I've found it in 4 seconds on the exact source before a colleague can even go, oh, insert other publication has just, oh, I wonder where that came from. I'll be like, got it. Found it. I've found the original source. So yeah, investigating, searching. I'm good with tight deadlines. Like I work to doing 18 stories every half an hour.
And so what I'm trying to get at is some of these things that you're saying, can we look at what the opposite of that would be? And is that something that you're not as strong with? Sometimes that's how things work. I'm really good at this thing. And sometimes that means, well, the opposite of that I'm not as strong at because I'm stronger at the opposite. So what about long-term deadlines? Are there bigger projects? Like, do they constantly end up at the bottom of your priority list because you get caught up on the urgent stuff? Like you're really good with a deadline, but as soon as the deadline is a long deadline, you're too used to operating on a fast-paced kind of schedule.
Yes. And because my job is only quick deadlines, I don't have the ability to talk within my current day job about long projects because they don't exist. But if I translate it to my personal life, absolutely. The second that it's more than a day deadline, well, I'm never going to do that. And it gets pushed to the end and then it creeps up and I get overwhelmed and then I haven't been able to chip away slowly because I'm wired for short bursts. So if I was applying for new jobs where it was really long form stuff, I could probably bring that up and be like, hey, this is something that I have wanted to do because I've only ever had to do the such immediate tasks. However, I've never done it before. So it's going to be new for me, a change of pace.
Yeah, my day-to-day workflow, that's going to be really different for me. Totally. And you're not trying to say, I'm not going to be able to do that because that's not the point. Like, I really don't think that anything we're sharing here is like, I'm never going to be able to do that. I'm completely incapable at this thing. Like, is that even relevant to share? If you're like completely incapable of this, like I am completely incapable of doing an in-depth financial analysis of a business. Okay, cool. What's that got to do with anything? Like, that's not your skill set whatsoever.
And I'm sure within, say, 6 months of working in a job where it is the long form stuff, watch that become my new like baseline. And then if I tried to get thrown back into the immediate stuff, I'd be thrown off. So it's just whatever you've been used to lately.
How do I break down these tasks? So I hope that helps with some ideas for brainstorming. Let's keep going. What else are we doing? You have some options, like we did with Emma's examples, of going really specific to the job that you're currently doing or like your industry or the types of jobs you've been in, or something that's a little bit more about you in general and your work style and the way that you do things and how you are like to work with as a colleague, et cetera, et cetera. So an example from me, if I was going for an HR job in a country that wasn't Australia, I might talk about my weakness is the knowledge of the local regulations. I've done XYZ research. I've referenced these things. I've looked at these publications to understand it better. But because I haven't worked in it before, that's going to be something that I'm not really strong in. It is something I'm strong in for Australia, but it's something that I'm going to need some help to try and understand. Or I could talk about something a bit different in terms of how I work with colleagues. And one thing that I've kind of shared before, and this has kind of evolved since the last time I talked about this, is I wasn't aware of this thing that I do until fairly recently. And I've now become aware of it and I'm like way more conscious on how it affects my colleagues. So let's say you get an email or something like that, and it's the kind of email where the person's like asking you a thing that you already answered in the email that they're replying to, and you're like, oh my God, I have to explain this again. Like, it's literally just in the email that I attached. And so you get it. And what I didn't realize is I was doing this out loud, and I'd be like, oh. And it's not like like I'm not deliberately making that noise out loud to get a reaction out of someone or to like have a colleague ask what's wrong or anything. It's just my internal monologue of being like, oh, okay, here we go. Like, patience, Sarah. In we go. Oh, how annoying. I didn't realize I was making that noise out loud.
Did someone call you out on it?
No, well, my colleagues would often kind of go, oh, what's wrong? And I was like, why are you interrupting me? Like, and I'm like kind of annoyed at them for asking me what's wrong. I'm like, how can they tell that I just got frustrated with something? And it's almost like my attitude or my thoughts or my vibes or whatever are really infectious because of my facial expressions or my tiny little sigh or whatever was way more audible than I ever intended it to be. And so something that's like really not a big deal for me might come across as, oh, Sarah's in a bad mood. She's dealing with some really big problem. And I'm like, oh, that's not it at all. So I had to share with my colleagues like, hey, by the way, that's just kind of a thing that I do. It's actually self-regulation I've worked out. It's like a bit of an exhale before I start something, and it's not meant to be heard by anyone. It's just my little ritual of like, okay, oh, here we go. Let's start this really annoying task. So I shared that.
So have you decided to not do that anymore, or you're going to keep doing it?
Well, I'm communicating about it and also being much more aware of like trying not to do it really audibly when it is something that I am frustrated about.
I sit next to someone who audibly does this, but it's genuine angry frustration, and it's so awkward and tense, and it's like I feel like I have to say, are you okay? Because you've just done this really attention-seeking noise, and it's just bad vibes.
I think that is what people do, and that's not what I was doing, but that's how it was being interpreted. So that is genuinely something that I would share as like, hey, this is a thing that I've identified. It's not a great effect on the team because there's no equivalent for when I'm like, oh, yay. Like it's not as infectious as the tiny little sigh that I'm doing. So yeah, that's something that I would share as something I'm trying to be more aware of. But that's more general to me than it is about my specific job. That could kind of be relevant regardless of the job that I was going for.
And you're sharing the thought process, how it impacts you, what you are doing or plan to do about it. We're not making it sound like it's been fixed, like, oh, one time I had this weakness, but then here's what I did and now I don't have that weakness anymore.
Yes.
It's an active pursuit.
Yeah. You can share, here's the things that I have done, I'm working on it, or like I'm aware of it now. It's something that I'd like to work on more in the future. Like we're unpacking why we've chosen that thing as a weakness. How is it actually a weakness? Where does it show up? Where does it mean that you missed a bigger impact or could have done better or might have found it easier? And what are you doing about it, or how do you work around it? For example, for your answer, Em, with the maths and the data.
There's no solution. I choose to perpetually be bad at maths. I will not be going and purchasing year 12 maths books and testing myself of nighttime. Deal with it.
Because that doesn't come so naturally to you, I bet you check your work.
I always call out to my colleague. I check it 5 times with the calculator first, and then I'll be like, hey, Rob, does this sound right? And then I'll read out my maths and he'll go, yep. And then my colleague will come in for the day and I'll go, can you just check this? And she'll do her maths and I'll go, great. Because sometimes if I've got to divide like what the person blew over and the limit, sometimes I'll actually accidentally divide the limit by what they blew over instead of what they blew over divided by the limit, and I get the very wrong math.
And you're like, mate, that doesn't sound right. So your answer could talk about, hey, this is a thing. Here's how it affects kind of what I do. It's not the thing that I'm super strong with, but what I do about it is I make sure that I'm checking. And this is the kind of thing that I will run by colleagues. I don't always run stories by colleagues, but when it has something that is particularly sensitive or that has a lot of kind of maths in it that I've had to convert, I will run it by someone to say, hey, can you just check this for me? Because it's something that I'm not necessarily going to pick up. Great. Those are all things that you're doing about it, how you work around it. There's insight into you and what you're great at and what you're not great at. If you were going for a job with the Bureau of Statistics and you were going to have to be creating press releases for the Bureau of Statistics, hey, yeah,
that's my worst nightmare.
That might be really relevant. But also what people are going to be like, yeah, you said that they're not going to use it against you. Right, but are you going to be happy in a job where it's relying on the thing that you find really, really hard?
That is my personal hell.
It's a valid reason for them to go, hey, this might not be the job that you're going to thrive in. They're looking out for you. Like, that's a positive that you might be ruled out for a role like that.
Because I like words, not numbers.
We want to be leveraging your strengths and not, hey, this role's going to revolve around the thing that you find really hard.
I'm more of an ABC girl than a 1, 2, 3 girl, if you know what I mean.
You could use that as a funny little intro. You could be like, well, I'm a bit more ABC than 1, 2, 3. And then you have to explain. But like, what a fun little one-liner to lead into that. Shows a bit of personality, shows a bit of wit. I like it. So we are not making it sound like I fixed it, this isn't a big deal. We are sharing a little bit about it. But also, above everything, I really don't want you to spend a million hours thinking about this freaking question. Just pick a weakness.
No, chances are they're not even going to ask you about it.
Well, and if they do, it's just not the thing that's going to give you a good opportunity to talk about all the reasons that they are going to like you. Like it's just side relevant to the rest of your interview. And I don't want you making it your number one priority and prep of like, here's my weakness. That's the first thing I've done. Because it is really common that if you've only thought about answers to 3 questions and you're starting the rest of your prep, this is going to be one of them. And I'm like, well, that counts as none because that's not a story that you're going to be able to use for anything else. It's only good for that specific question. And if you don't get asked it, useless. Can't mention it. So come up with a weakness, come up with a little bit of reasoning, make a note of them if you need to, move on. Come up with your best bits.
Go get them.
Thanks so much for listening to Interview Boss. If you like hearing the sound of our voices, follow us on Spotify or Apple or wherever you're listening to this episode, or better yet, send our show to someone else who needs it. That's how we can hit the charts and help even more people all around the world and keep bringing you the incredible, helpful content that is going to land you your next amazing job. For more advice, inspiration, supportive community, behind the scenes content, check us out on Instagram and chuck us a follow at Interview Boss, or go find me on LinkedIn and send me a follow. Can you believe we started Interview Boss in 2021?
Not really. It's insane. That's a lot of episodes and a lot of hours of talking.
Oh my gosh, it is. And if you're scrolling through all of our episodes, you might scroll straight past something that you really, really needed.
Yes, we're always getting messages from people asking us to do an episode on something, and I'm like, we already have.
So we've put together playlists to help you find the episodes that are exactly what you need, suited to your situation.
They're all categorized. If you're applying for jobs, we have episodes about resumes, cover letters, job ads. If you've been offered your dream job, we have episodes on resigning, exit interviews, and how to impress at your new company.
And we even have a very special playlist that's very popular for if you have an interview coming up immediately and you need just our most recommended hard-hitting episodes between now and then.
For all our last-minute listeners. It's all there for you. You can browse by category and check out all the playlists at interviewboss.com.au/podcast.